governance in Africa can be stressful. Now, it can literally stretch your thinking faculty to a degree that you never thought was possible. Why am I saying this? Because some people that are voted into power, people that are nominated to high places, they are honored to hold high offices, basically to make sure that lives of the citizens and the entire population of the country is improved, end up only improving their life, end up only taking on the resources to sort of benefit them, their family, and their friends. Now, this has been the order of the day when it comes to especially politics in certain areas and certain countries in Africa. Now, this is why it's an amazing update that some presidents or some new governments are actually making decisions that is not only favoring a section of the country's population, but also targeting the entire population and how they're going to formulate policies to benefit everyone. I believe that should be the order of the day. In as much as people think that we all have our personal responsibilities to take care of, or we have our personal life to take care of, to make sure that our lives are better, and we shouldn't particularly rely on the governance or the government to help our life or sort of make our life easier. No matter how you look at it, there's a section or there's a certain level of degree that the government also has to come through for citizens. And when things are not properly organized, honestly speaking, no matter how you work as an individual, it will be quite difficult for you to sustain yourself in a particular country's economy. The current president of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is doing some great initiative. He's actually innovated a lot of things since he came, and he's held his promises and is still doing some, things that personally, I had little or no hope in the political scene, because we've seen a lot of promises being thrown around during campaign, and then at the end of the day, when the person is voted into power, they barely fulfill their promises, or they do a little and then they let it slide. But this time in particular, without any political affiliation, I think as a Ghanaian, as someone that has grown up in this country for a while, I think there's been a bit of a positive accumulation of decisions and policies that are intended to sort of help the entire population and not only a section. Okay, so what am I talking about? Today is the 15th of July, 2025, and there's been some policies, there's a renewal of some policies in Ghana that I would like us to look into. Now, first of all, the government has decided that government is going to withdraw military protection for people that are not authorized. If you are a civilian and you need military protection to aid you in any sort of event, or you're going somewhere, the government has scrapped that off. Now, the Minister of Defense, Dr. Edward Omanibuama, took to his Facebook page to announce this earlier Tuesday morning. Okay, so before we go into what he said, let me just read out what actually the minister said, so that we get a feel of what exactly happened on his Facebook page. So this is what he said. As part of our reset agenda to restore discipline and accountability, we've withdrawn military protection for civilians, including public officials, former ministers, businessmen and women, and among others, who are not entitled to it. This decision aims to stop the misuse of military personnel for personal gain. Therefore, military personnel found providing unauthorized guard duties and any other unauthorized duties will face far-reaching consequences. Let's work together to promote a more disciplined and responsible use of our military resources. We are committed to transparency and accountability. Let's build a more responsible and just society together. Okay, so this particular post, this particular statement from the Honorable Minister is a statement. It's a bold statement, because aside the decision that is made, I think it's making a huge statement to the entire citizens in Ghana, we the citizens, that look, the government is willing to actually make some sacrifices and make some changes when it comes to their behavior and policies that they feel like is not helping the country, and also to bring some level of honor and nobility into the profession or into the defense ministry of the country. So if you are not authorized to have certain privileges, to have some bodyguards, to use the military to do any kind of thing, I mean, gone are the days when somebody is just going to buy what they will just, if they have their money, they will just go and then speak to some military personnel and then give them something, and then they will go and match them. Actually, right now, I think things are changing, and I believe that sometimes, in as much as money is important, there's nobility in certain professions that shouldn't be bought easily with money. Because I feel like when certain things are not sort of protected like the way they are doing, then it introduces something else, because then people don't even ascribe or give that kind of respect or honor to that profession like the way it's supposed to. Because if somebody has to be protected, there has to be a reason. There has to be the person has to be deserving. Okay, the person has to be in that kind of space that the state has decided. Look, with this work that you are doing, you require this level of security. And besides, there are private securities. There are bodyguards. There are bouncers that, I mean, you can actually rent to sort of, I mean, guide you and everything. But if you are going to use state protocols or state security to do that, the minister is saying that as part of President John Dramani Mahama to reset Ghana, this act is now not effective. I don't know what you think about this, but I mean, when you ask me, I think it's a good decision. It's not like it's targeted at a particular section of people like the former ministers and high businessmen or anything. I feel like they can still have their security. There are a lot of security agencies. There are bouncers, big bouncing. Now, right these days, there's a lot of bouncing group in Ghana that you can actually go for them to protect you. And there are agencies around to help you in regards to that. So I feel like certain decisions are not even specifically for that, like they are not specifically for the decision made, but to sort of make a certain statement mentally to the people of Ghana that the government is committed to make some changes. Now, that's not the only changes that came up this morning. Another changes that also came up is President John Dramani Mahama also making another changes to sort of withdraw. Okay, he has scrapped off the government appointees fuel, like they had leeways to actually get fuel for free, and now the government has scrapped that off. Mahama scraps fuel allowances for government appointees. So before, some government appointees had the opportunity to actually have fuel allowance. So they go to the filling station and then they get their cars fueled with no fee, like they don't pay anything. And then the government feels like this is not an act that will help governance, and also they are trying to sort of reduce the government expenditure and use those monies to sort of and they are going to use those money to actually do more developmental projects and push it to places that are of priority more than actually fueling cars, because they feel like, I mean, if you are being given some amount of salary and allowances, you can actually buy your fuel. And I feel this is also a great thing to do. Now, this was also communicated by Mr. Felix Kwachifos, who is the communication director in the presidency. So I think that this also is a very good decision, in a sense that personally I feel when they allow some of these government appointees to also buy fuel, not necessarily to make their life difficult, but to also bring them to the level of the citizens, okay, to understand that, okay, this is the price of fuel, this is the amount of money you have to use to buy it. So when they are able to feel the pain, they are able to share the stress that goes with buying certain things and not having it for free, I feel like they can actually be on their toes to make policies that will not only shield a section of them. Because when I'm not going through this stress, I mean, it's difficult for me to actually devise means to solve a problem. But when we are all experiencing this, humans, by per our nature, we are full of self-interest. So if I'm going to solve this and we are all going to sort of have, maybe if there's maybe fuel crisis and everything. Now there will be more zeal to actually do something to help the situation. But before, if you are getting it for free, well, I mean, it doesn't affect me in any way, so that's fine. Anyway, this is part of John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency's scheme to actually reset the system. During his inauguration on the 7th of January 2025, he used the word reset almost 11 times. Almost 11 times. So that should, like, repetition, they say, is for the sake of emphasis. So it means he was really poised. And he's been out of government for a while. So I'm sure he's reflected and meditated on some of the mistakes that he made. And now he really wants to do things well and take his last term in office very, very serious. Now he sees this term as a blessing and a way for him to actually, right the wrongs that he did in the previous governance. And I feel like so far, so good. Personally, last time I was having a conversation with a friend and I was like, look, I think the government is doing great stuff, but honestly speaking, with the experiences I've had with previous governments, I think we should hold on and not be too quick to judge the situation, because it's only like 6 months in and they have like 3.5 years to go. So I feel like we should still give them some time. All right, I think we should still give them some time and see how it goes. But so far, personally, I think there's been some solid policies that have been made that I feel like they should be given some level of applaud in a certain sense. We should motivate them to do more. And most of their policies are not only targeted at making life easier for only a section of governors. And I feel personally, well, yeah, I thought that was how governance is supposed to be, right? So for what John Dramani, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is doing, Charlie, I feel like it's wonderful. Personally, I've not really been able to put myself in this political space because I feel like politics is a game of self-interest anyway. But with some of the decisions that it's been made until now, I honestly feel like the government is doing a great job and he deserves to be applauded for what he's done so far, whilst we hope and pray that better things will come up. But that's not the only thing that he's done. He actually reduced the number of cabinet ministers, and it was all to make sure that certain decisions that were made previously that didn't help him will be made better now, and he's righting the wrongs in the right way. And also, I learned government offices, state offices are not supposed to also pay satellite televisions, because they are also trying to cut costs with regards to that and push those finances to more deserving places or more deserving sectors of the economy. So I think Ghanaians are actually experiencing a different dimension of governance now. And they're not to only throw shade on any previous political party. I personally believe that when it comes to nation building, everybody contributes in their own way when they come to power, no matter how small or little you think it is. They did some, and somebody has to build on it. So what the current government is doing, I'm sure the next government will also have to build on it, and eventually you will come to a place that you're like, okay, this country is developed because we had some governance or some people that came in to help. Even though there are, like I said, there are decisions that are made that are not particularly nice, but Charlie, there are times too that there are positives that we should also look at, because the previous governments did a lot of infrastructural development. They developed a lot of infrastructures, and they also deserve some level of accolades, and they deserve to be looked at in terms of helping the country to move from point A to point B. So with that one said, we will end today's edition of Trends here. The name remains Donald and not Trump. I'll see you on the other side. Peace.